And on the international front, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa expected to announce changes to national executives on Monday. We are live around the world on 3news.com. We're also on DSTV channel 279. And if you see us looking resplendent in our regalia, it is because we are in March, which is Ghana's Independence Month. Tomorrow, Monday, will be the 6th of March when Ghana gained independence. And on the back of that, a lot has been happening in the build-up to Ghana observing Independence Day. So all is set for the 66th Independence Day celebration to be held in the Volta regional capital of Ho on the 6th of March, Monday. The theme for this year's celebration is Our Unity, Our Strength, Our Destiny. Chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and President of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, is the special guest of the ceremony.
Cleaning up the place just a little bit in anticipation as to exactly what's going to happen. You can hear sound checks being done at this particular point as well, seeking to just firm up, really, the last bit of details as to what tomorrow would be like. We've been here all throughout Thursday where the preparation has been happening. Rehearsals have gone, have happened quite a number of times already. Today the dress rehearsal took place. Earlier as well, the media were called into the arena, and directions also provided as to exactly what will be required from us tomorrow as the celebration will be marked tomorrow at this particular venue. It's the Youth Sports Development Center, and from all across this place, even at this very late hour, there are still citizens. If you just cast your eye across a little, you see citizens still, a last few of them, still wandering about, trying to just feel the atmosphere in reality, really, in these last few hours until everything kicks off. There's been lots of military personnel who've moved here in the last few hours since we've been stationed here. Earlier, there was the expectation that there would be some news conference of some sort, but that didn't happen. And so floodlights, I must say, were fixed this afternoon, and it appears all is but set for the big day tomorrow. The conversations in the lead up to this has been different. There's been those who've made the case strongly that moving the Independence Day celebration from one city or one region to another helps build togetherness, as is with the theme for this year's celebration. But the concern really has been the current state of the country's economy, the difficulties, even as Ghana seeks an IMF bailout, whether there's a need to expend monies on these large projects and large celebrations in the form that we'll be seeing tomorrow. But hearing from residents themselves, they've made the argument quite strongly that, look at the youth sport complex, for instance. We visited this place some 4 months ago, 4 to 6 months ago, and all of this place which you see right now was left in the bush. But because of this celebration, all of this has been prepared, the grounds has been readied. If you move to the whole township, the whole town is lit bright because all street lights have been fixed, all potholes have been fixed. And so for citizens here, the argument that we're wasting money, we should not celebrate, is not one that they are going to take. And for the regional minister, for instance, he's made the case quite strongly that already they are beginning to realize the benefit of this 66th independence being celebrated here in the Volta region. Talk of investment already coming in thick and fast. And so in your short, the cleaning trucks of the Zoomlion Company Limited also finalizing really the last bit of details. That's the area where a lot of the dignitaries, Council of State members, members of Parliament, and a host of dignitaries were expecting a special guest of honor as well. Just finally will also join us. And I was making the case about the conversation about really whether or not all of this is necessary. We've been speaking to the regional minister as well, where he's made the case quite strongly that, look, this is a blessing to the region, and that already even some of these benefits are being realized at this point in time.
Looking for land, I mean, all assemblies, all DCs have been asked to provide land banks so that some investors are coming to do massive rice production. And it's not only producing the rice, also processing to the finished product. So we having some rice mills, AGL and on the Dakuru Road. Senor Jose's place there is a rice mill together with maize. They also process maize and rice. And then we are having a very big mill being done by an Indian investor in Adidome. We have several investors doing rice cultivation, cassava cultivation. In the North Town, there's somebody who is doing sugar cane. He wants to put up a sugar factory. So he brought the sugar cane seedlings. We are supporting him to do that. And others are also coming to do cassava processing. So we have some people who have come already. We have a young man from the States, Ghanaian, who is doing ginger, he's doing cashew, and processing cashew, ginger, chili, and onions for supermarkets in the US and Europe, and also supermarkets in Accra. So we have people who have come in already. We have the largest exporter of potatoes in West Africa, in our region, at Tajebu, in the Ketu North Municipal Assembly area. So a lot is going on already, but we have room to improve because we still have a lot of unemployed youth around. We still have poverty in the system. We want to eradicate poverty, therefore we need to create the jobs and a livelihood for our people. So we are interested in getting people into our region, and the RCC is ready to provide an enabling environment for people to come on board and support us.
And that's the Volta Regional Minister concluding that report that was put together by Eric Mauna Egbeta, my colleague, who's been in the Volta Regional capital of Ho for the last few days, updating us as regards preparations towards the big day tomorrow. The President and the leadership of the Republic will be there to launch and mark the 66th independence anniversary of Ghana. But then the question keeps coming up: as a nation, should we be proud of how far we have come, looking at our current circumstances, and what can we do? What necessary measures can we put in place to get the country back on right footing? That and many more issues have been talked about, and here at Media General on all our platforms we'll be bringing you full coverage of the 66th anniversary of Ghana's independence.
Let's now focus on politics, because 2024 NDC flag bearer hopeful John Dramani Mahama may have launched his campaign to lead the party into the next elections. But it is the apparent strategy of taking pot shots at government and his critics that has already got people talking. In his latest installment, John Dramani Mahama has singled out those demanding that he returns all ex gratia paid to him to show his commitment in scrapping the provision.
It's been only days after he launched his comeback to lead the NDC into election 2024. But former President John Mahama already looks to be in the mood for the jabs and the pot shots.
A new NDC government will give priority to continuing and completing abundant and ongoing projects rather than rushing to commence new ones.
And to hit the ground running, Mr. Mahama took it to the doorstep of Article 71 office holders.
The payment of ex gratia to members of the executive under Article 71 will be scrapped.
But the governing MPP has said previously the former president cannot review the payments because he simply loves them.
Former President Mahama loves Article 71 because he preserved it for himself, and when he's gotten the golden opportunity to repeal it. In other words, what former President Mahama is saying today cannot be taken seriously because he has already failed Ghanaians on this matter.
The ex gratia scrapping promise appears to have hit some raw nerves. Private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu agrees all past payments must be refunded.
They made money, so the ex gratia is small. So just say, you know what, people, I've grown older, I think I've become wiser. Here, I'm returning the money. That ex gratia, you should return it. Mr. Mahama should do introspection and see that, yes, let me return it as a sign of what? This in good faith.
Well, John Mahama, who looks to be in full campaign swing, has been throwing jabs at the lawyer.
Somebody who should know better, a lawyer. He said, oh, then I should refund all the ex gratia we took before to show Ghanaians that, yes, we are serious about cancelling it. He does not even know the principle in our constitution that says that you cannot pass retroactive legislation. If you pass legislation today, it does not affect what happened in the past. And what he says is a bit silly.
But hang on, did you hear the analogy he makes to water down calls for the return of the ex gratia paid him?
It's like saying that because we've introduced free SHS, all of us should go and get a refund of our school fees that we paid in the past. That is how silly what he's saying is.
It's already shaping up nicely for a heated political season. Never mind, John Mahama must first scale his party's primaries. Political watchers will be lacing their boots because on the evidence of the last few days, these jabs and exchanges have only just begun.
We should expect a lot more of that in the Ghana political season as we are also inching closer to 2024 general elections. Away from the Independence Day celebration and the politics, civil society organizations have waded into the vaccine shortage which has hit the country. The latest is Send Ghana, an NGO which is asking government to procure childhood vaccines now to avert a possible outbreak of childhood diseases. Vaccines to prevent diseases like measles and whooping cough are in short supply. The Health Minister, Kwekwaji Manmeno, is expected to brief Parliament on Tuesday, the 7th of March, on steps being taken to address the setback. Deputy Country Director of Send Ghana, Dr. Emmanuel Eyifa, will be joining us shortly to let us know what specific positions they have on this and how they believe government needs to expedite action in, procuring these vaccines. He's joined us via phone for a quick conversation on this. Mr. Eyifa, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Matthew. And thanks for the opportunity.
Right. As a watcher in the health space, how disturbing are these reports of vaccine shortage?
Hello. In fact, good evening once again. Yeah, good evening once again. In fact, let me be frank that saying it is disturbing is even really an understatement. It is an understatement because this is something that borders on the survival of our children. To have important and critical vaccines in short supply in the country currently, and to see that the health authorities, the health ministry seem not to really prioritize it and seem unconcerned, giving plenty of excuses, I believe that it is something that all of us really need to push the government hard to get the situation under control.
And I'm sure as Send Ghana, you may have tried reaching or finding out from government what exactly is accounting for the shortage, first of all, of supply and the availability of the vaccines. What answers have you been able to get from the state authorities?
Let me say that for us, we picked the signals somewhere around middle of last year, because we were doing some work on immunization budget credibility, where we went to a couple of districts to look at, their financing for immunization. And there we realized that some of the districts indicated that there's a likelihood of their vaccines being in short supply. Fast forward around November or so, when we did some stakeholder consultations or dialogue, it became evident from some of the districts that they really did not even have some measles vaccine and then some other 2 or so vaccines. And so based on that, we decided to reach out to EPI to really find out about some of these things. But unfortunately, we didn't have any hearing from EPI. In January, when we have a wider national dialogue consultation, there almost every health official that came there alluded to the fact, the district health management team members alluded to the fact that, in fact, their vaccines are actually in short supply. Some have finished. And so we really pointed out about the need for government to prioritize this. And because government, and not only this current government, but government in time and this current government have been defaulting on what is called the Gavi co-financing agreement. We really wanted to push hard to make sure that government actually does what is right in terms of paying for the co-financing part of our agreement. Because if we do not pay, that means I will not take delivery of the vaccine that we're supposed to. And unfortunately, that is what has happened now. We know that the Ghana Health Service have been talking about that the vaccines will come, But we believe that this is just a lip service. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Health met them, and the reason they gave had to do with the fact that because of the depreciation of the cedi. But we as SEND and of course other civil society, we do not believe this. Why should depreciation of the cedi necessary cause for us not to have a vaccine that is essential to take care of the life of our children? Aside that reason, my brother, you may ask that if you were to go to the market to buy a vaccine of, let's say, 1,000 Ghana cedi, you can get 10 vaccines to buy. Right. And because the depreciation of the cedi, you could just get 5. I think it makes sense for you to even get the 5 and then look at where you can get the extra money at least to top up. But this is not what actually is happening. Unfortunately,
and Dr. Ifa, in concluding this conversation, I would want to find out from you. So, we have also followed up this story quite keenly. We've asked government what exactly is even accounting for this shortage. Government, like you indicated, says the vaccines are coming. So we probably, as of now, can only keep our fingers crossed in wait. However, as an institution like SEND Ghana, are there processes or ways you think you can assist in getting government to, expedite action in getting these vaccines in?
Okay, thank you. I think that's a very important point. But before then, as I indicated, until we see the vaccine, I'm seeing is believing. This is not the first time we've been promised that the vaccines are coming. And then to your question, yes, it's important we begin to discuss what can be done for sustainability purposes. What we are suggesting is that about time government, one, considers this as a public health emergency. And secondly, it is important that we set up a fund. And then the fund will basically look at all public health emergencies. So we are calling public health emergency fund. The idea is that, one, we should move beyond the COVID-19 trust fund and make it a public health emergency fund and use the COVID-19 health levy, which is roping in projected 2.5 billion this year. At least once we have that money, we can use it in the event of the times like this that we find ourselves that we need money to procure vaccines for our children.
All right, Doctor.
What has to be done? But quickly, we learned that the Ghana, the NHIS has already paid 72 million for the vaccines, and so we want to just encourage government that if that money has been paid, it's important that they follow it and go and get the vaccines. So that it wouldn't be like us paying $82 million for the COVID vaccines that was not delivered.
Okay.
So we believe that when these things are done, it's going to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much as well for your time. Certainly a discussion of national proportions, especially bordering on the health of our children. You know, we will also keep an eye on it and see what government's position is in the coming days. This is still News 360 on TV3.
Right, Martin. Now, some members of parliament say being passionate over issues on the floor of the House is being misconstrued as being violent. They were responding to the first Deputy Speaker, Jose Wusu's assertion that lack of decorum in the House is a reflection of younger people coming into the chamber. They spoke to my colleague, Evelyn Tingma.
It may be the case that the age groups in the early parliaments and now are quite different. There are more younger persons in the legislature now than before. This, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei Wusu, says is the reason for what he calls violence in the chamber.
The level of decorum I observed when I joined in and what I observed today is a vast difference. If you ask me, it is a bad reflection of young people coming to the chamber. I'm afraid that if we don't curb it now, in the next 2-3 more parliaments, we will not have a parliament, we'll have a boxing ring.
Some would also say that discipline in the House has waned, and the Speaker on several occasions have complained about the conduct of members on the floor.
I'm aware of complaints of you undermining the integrity, the honor of each other, and I think that is not fair. We are all honorable members here. Honorable members, please, let's respect each other. Let's continue to treat each other with honor, because that's why you are called honorable members.
But what do the MPs say?
But I believe that it's because these are young guys who are products of what the young generation feel. Because look, go back to the streets now and talk to the younger ones in our population. You see that there's an element of disappointment, discontentment, and a lot of other factors. And most of us are products of that who have finally found our way into the National Assembly. And therefore, as much as possible, we articulate to those concerns. Parliament should be able to draw a line between passion and violence. What I see is more of passion rather than violence.
What has happened in this parliament that you would want to blame young people? Perhaps they expected that the young people should sit aloof and allow them to engage in some of the wrongs. In the matter of the elections of the Speaker, the standing orders are very clear. The standing order says, among others, that when it comes to election of a Speaker, that the voting must be done through a secret ballot. Now, Joe Wise and co. wanted to circumvent what the standing order says, what the Constitution says, and we stood up against the illegality they wanted to perpetrate. So the fact that we stood against the wrongs they wanted to do, if that is described as violence, then I do not know.
In Ghana right now, for instance, 60% of the population are youth. And I mean, in the past, I'm sure in Parliament they had more heated argument than it is now. The difference is that nowadays the youth are well informed because of the information age that we are in. I mean, people can research. You can't just tell them anything and they'll take it like that. And I think they are more outspoken. They know what they want and they'll go for it. So it may look as if they are destructive or, you know, always generating heated argument and stuff like that, but I don't think so.
The MPs say Ghana's parliament is far decent.
The Indian parliament, people have exchanged blows. As a matter of fact, the United States Congress, people exchanged blows. The British parliament, people didn't just disagree in the heated debates. People actually exchanged blows. So it would be the height of naivety for someone to conclude that the reason why there have been heated debates is because there are young people. And I think that it's an attack, it's an insult to young people in Parliament. The 1996 Parliament was more heated than the parliament we have today. So for someone to say that there have been violence, and I don't know what he means by violence, I think that is completely wrong.
So some of the younger legislators will certainly not agree with the fact that there is violence and more heated arguments because of their presence in the House. But be it as it may, there needs to be a level of decorous and respect for each other as elected members who have earned the title honorable. And the Speaker has often echoed this. Evelyn Tinkma, TV3 News, Parliament House.
Now, according to the United Nations Environment Programme, about 400 million tons of plastic waste is produced globally every year. Out of this number, less than 10% is recycled. But Trashy Bags, a social enterprise making upcycled eco-friendly bags, is poised to use these R strategy, reduce, reuse and recycle, to help cut down on the amount of plastic waste Ghanaians throw away.
They may be described as big problems disguised as small packages. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, 1 million plastic bottles are purchased every minute, while up to 5 trillion plastic bags are used worldwide every year. In total, half of all plastic produced is designed for single-use purposes, used just once and then thrown away. Each month, nearly 200,000 plastic sachets are collected and brought to Trashy Bags Africa by a network of people who obtain an income from their efforts. Over 40 local people collect, clean and stitch plastic trash before transforming them.
I'm a single mother.
I was a single mother with 3 kids when I started this job. The salary is what I've used to take care of my children, and I've used it also to support my livelihood for the past 17 years. Once the sachet sheets are prepared, templates are used to draw the shapes for future products, and then the basic outlines are cut out.
There's a lot of waste materials here. We deal with water sachet, and Milo sachet, and Nescafe sachet, and also waste cut-off pieces of fabric. This one is a cosmetic bag, and then the material is a Nescafe sachet. So I try to come out with this design, and it's really suited. And then I line it with the water sachet. And then I have also this one, laptop sleeves. Yeah, that also have water sachet inside. What we need is to educate people, even normally kids, to learn how to separate the waste.
Sheets prepared in this way are then handed over to the workers who sew them together according to a predefined procedure.
We all have to realize that we are all part of the problem. If you look at the water sachet, you look at the brands that go into just this alone, it's a lot. So from the manufacturer to the end user, we are all contributing to the problem. So there's need for us all to also contribute to the solution. So and then also we've seen that people will not readily just go collecting the material. But if there's value for it, which I said we buy it, so they'll readily collect because they know that there will be revenue for that. But the other problem that we have also is that even though now there are in the local industries springing up dealing with different materials, we don't have to segregate. We put everything, lump everything into the bin. So even though there will be a company that will be able to recycle, that is a challenge.
Trashy Bags Africa, a social enterprise making upcycled, eco-friendly bags from discarded drinking water sachet that litter the streets of Accra, is committed to being net zero by 2030, having signed up to the United Nations Race to Zero campaign. Their bags go a long way to transform the lives of rural Ghanaian children.
With the school bag, if we get funding, last year alone we made about 5,000 of them. So supposing we get sponsorship, we readily put in the contents, and then we look at deprived communities. We've been to villages where children barely can get a school backpack to go to school. And so that will be useful if we get funding. The school bag will be the prominent one to help the educational side and then also the project going on.
By making useful and attractive bags and other products directly from the sachet, Trashy Bags have demonstrated that waste plastic can still be useful long after it has outlived its original purpose. It is indeed helping to reduce plastic pollution and creating employment opportunities, one sachet bag at a time.
From that report, the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament intends to summon the Interior Minister and Governor of the Bank of Ghana over the July 1 deadline for the acquisition of armoured plated vehicles for financial institutions across the country. A member of the committee, Peter Tobu, tells TV3 it is worrying that the banks appear not to be working towards such an important national security issue.
Cash-in-transit vehicles, or CIT, have often come under attacks. In all, 4 billion vans robberies were recorded in 2021 and 2022, with a daylight robbery at Adedempo in Jamestown. One police officer escorting the vehicle was killed instantly. The driver of the vehicle also sustained gunshot wounds, while a bystander also lost her life. As a result, the Bank of Ghana and the Interior Ministry were compelled to issue a directive for all financial institutions transporting cash to transition from using pickups to armored plated vans, deadline of which has been extended to July. A member of the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament said no police officer should be made to escort cash in transit vehicles without protection.
That's a clause in the service instructions. Make sure that it is a bullion van. It is not the duty of the police to provide bullion vans. It's the duty of the police to escort the cash. And it is the responsibility of the company involved to provide security for the driver, right? The police officer or the security officer, and as much the property. If the time comes and we think that, well, you've given us deadline, on this particular date in April, every cash in transit should be in an armored vehicle. We'll review that. And the police at the end of the day can crack the whip and say, if you don't come with a bullion van, no police officer sits in that van.
The special purpose vehicles have features like siren, tracking devices, bullet-resistant glass, and other protective features, making it safer than the soft-skin vehicles. Security analyst Dr. Adams Bona said the Bank of Ghana has failed to ensure the banks comply.
BOG is failing because at the end of the day, the banks, who do they pay their earnings to? And so Bank of Ghana can get up one morning like they did some time ago and say your license is cancelled.
Last year, the Association of Bankers said it has procured 60 of such armored vehicles, but admitted it is way below the required numbers. So are the players ready to escape BOG sanctions?
We are ready. The initial challenge had to do with the acquisition of the non-objection certificate from the Ministry of Interior. That was actually a setback. But eventually we managed to pass through that challenge. After that, we started engaging with the banks, who are of course our clients, and most of them have expressed their readiness to cooperate with the deadline. I should say and also advise the banks that it's important at this stage for them to speed up whatever processes they have, because 3 months will not be adequate enough for one to go through this rigorous process of importation of an armored van.
Now, poor attendance by pupils of Samson DA Primary in the Sechafram Plains district of the Ashanti region has been linked to the deplorable state of the schools in the area. The inadequacy of classroom blocks is impeding education delivery and discouraging parents from allowing their children attend classes. Ibrahim Abubakar has come through with the following report.
Edifice alone paints a gloomy picture of the sorry state of educational infrastructure in this area. The first thing one is greeted with is the deep cracks on the old rented office block for the education offices. Death trap as the structure may appear to be, the offices, including the district director, have been left with no option than to operate in it.
It is not safe for us to be working from a facility like this, but that's what we have for now. And so we are only praying to God that nothing bad happens with any of us.
Samson DA Primary is among many other schools in this district that conduct studies under similar sheds. The school has been left in this state without any attempt to provide an appropriate learning environment since it was established almost a decade ago.
Whenever it is time for raining like this, we have to close them and then
let them go home, else it will be a disaster over here. Ever since I took over here, I went to the communities, the nearby communities over here, trying to engage them, let them come to the school. But their major problem is the structure over here. They were talking about the structure over here, so they said whenever, if we were able to, or the government is able to put up a nice structure over here, then they will let them come.
After walking several miles to come to school, these children have to grapple with this deplorable facility to conduct their studies in.
So whether you are putting up a structure or beginning a life, having a good foundation is very important. But unfortunately, this crucial component is missing in our educational sector, especially the rural areas. Now, these kids you see behind me are expected to learn under conducive learning and teaching environments, but they have been deprived of that infrastructure, and currently they are beginning their educational journey under these structures, and this is affecting the delivery of quality teaching and learning.
The Central Frank Plains District Education Directorate said all effort to draw the attention of government to improve the school facility have not yielded any positive results.
We have been in touch with the District Assembly to come to our aid, help us to put up some of these facilities. But the Assembly itself is constrained a bit in terms of funding, because it is one of the few assemblies without IGF. Everything has to do with the common fund. It's the base, the financial base. And so it is always not enough to be able to help us put up some of these facilities. So there's Samson School block. I don't know if I can even call it a block because it's a shed. Yes, it is not the only one. You go to Nyamebechere, you have another one there. You go to Suye, you go to Kubu. The children themselves don't have that motivation to come to school because of where they are studying. Parents don't see the need to even send their children to such schools. And so it impacts negatively on teaching and learning.
The 1992 Constitution of Ghana, Article 25, Clause 1 states, all persons shall have the right to equal educational opportunities and facilities, and with a view of achieving the full realization of that right. 1E also states, the development of a system of schools with adequate facilities at all levels shall be actively pursued. So providing these children with a classroom block is not a privilege, but a right. The Sustainable Development Goal 4 also targets access to quality education for all by 2030. Ghana will, however, risk losing out if schools like Samson DA Primary are sidelined in the provision of improved educational infrastructure. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Central Frank Plains, Ashanti region.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. When we return, we have mission for you. Then after, we'll bring you the latest in the world of sports, where Manchester United was trashed by Liverpool.
You just wanted to see that.
Yeah.
This is the breaking news. About 2,500 people 2,500 people have been.
We'll be right back after a commercial break.
When stubborn coughs, colds, and catarrh interrupt your life, get fast relief with Stop Cough. The Stop Cough range is suitable for adults, children, and babies.
In today's breaking news, Alex is back and...
There is a Stop Cough for every cough and for everyone.
There surely is.
Ask your pharmacist about the right Stop Cough for you. The Stop Cough range is manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
The
The sweet scent of rose in the morning brings me so much joy. Inspired by damask rose and infused with 100% natural rose oil. Introducing new Clay Soft Perfume Beads washing powder. It's like bringing a garden with you everywhere with this wonderful perfume. Take a garden with you everywhere you go with Clay Soft Perfume Beads washing powder.
Hi, I am Richard Nyamakwe. Every day, I meet and interact with many young people who are full of business ideas and passionate about bringing these dreams to life to impact livelihoods and supporting their communities through small businesses. However, these businesses are often shattered or simply remain pipe dreams due to absence of seed capital. So on the occasion of my 38th birthday, the Richard Quay Foundation is providing a free seed capital to 10 young ambitious entrepreneurs who have great business ideas. Let your creative ideas flow now and send along those smart business ideas to info@richardquayfoundation.org. At the end, an independent grand jury will carefully review all business ideas and select 10 most outstanding ideas to walk away with a whopping 25,000 Ghana cedis each as seed capital. 6 months after, Quick Angels Limited will provide more substantial equity funding to those who have done something meaningful with their seed capital. All the best.
Welcome back. Let's now do Mission. Mission is supported by Star Ghana Foundation with thanks to FCDO. It was established almost 60 years ago to cater for the education needs of pupils in Salaga, but the St. Anthony's Junior High School block is crumbling. The facility, which was initially built as a piggery, now has deep cracks and leaks whenever it rains. My colleague Komladum reports school authorities are helpless as many appeals to the East Gonja Municipal Assembly have yielded no results.
These parked bicycles, dozens of them out here on the compound of a St. Anthony's Junior High School, means pupils are in class and lessons are ongoing. The school block, built in 1967 by Catholic missionaries, was to house pigs, but was later converted into classrooms. Nearly 60 years on, the structure is falling apart. The land crate used for the structure peels off at the least pressure. As a result, gaping cracks have developed on the building. Head teacher Emmanuel Zakaria Imoru tells me no amount of patch-ups has solved the problem.
The whole structure is very weak. It's made up out of land crates, not blocks. And then the sand is worn out to understand that it can no longer hold the window frames and then the door frames. So the structure is so weak that if care is not taken, any major storm can pull the whole building down. And this is a cause of worry for us as staff and the students of this school, that if urgent attention could be given, at least giving us a new structure will be of great help to us.
This school block, however weak it is, hosts 328 pupils, 175 girls and 153 boys. And for authorities here, one of the means to manage the situation is to decline fresh admissions.
We are performing, and parents and other people want their wards to be enrolled in this school. But because of the unavailability of space and the weakness of the structure, we will not be able to bring in more students and accommodate them. So it affects indirectly enrollment because we can't enroll more.
For the pupils themselves, it has become a nightmare. Mariam Awa Mohammed and Samuel Nassani fear the structure may come crashing down in no time.
As a well-noted school of this nature, and it has been performing, it does not need to have a structure of this building, because sometimes if it is even drizzling, someone doesn't want to come to school because when the person even comes to school in class, the person's dress will normally wet.
The structure is very poor, and as you can see, in fact, sometimes even when we are learning, bad harmful creatures enter the classes, in fact, to disturb us.
In many areas in the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, education infrastructure is a huge challenge. And along with it comes impact on academic work, enrollment of boys and girls, school attendance and progression. For Salaga South Member of Parliament Hajia Zuera Ibrahima, the municipality faces an uphill task of eradicating poverty.
In the 2019 Ghana Living Standard Report, the East Gonja municipality was the poorest in the country. So I focused a lot on education. Last year we used MP's allocation of the GET Fund to pay the fees of students from East Gonja in tertiary. This year the plan is to halve it. We use half of the GET Fund allocation for fees, and then we use half to procure furniture and distribute across the constituency.
Head of Supervision at the Education Directorate, Alhaji Adams Karibi, hopes external help could come to address one of their major headaches.
We visited some schools within the municipality and saw how deplorable those conditions of schools are. It doesn't promote effective teaching and learning in the municipality. So we are asking well-meaningful Ghanaians, even within and outside the country, to come to the aid of what is Gonja.
It is a race against time now for St. Anthony's Junior High School to avert a catastrophe. But when will help come is a question they wake up to every day. Now or maybe never. Komla Adom, TV3 News, Salaga.
Indeed, the question is, when will help come? That's all for Mission. Mission is supported by Star Ghana Foundation with thanks to FCDO. We have some sports news coming up next.
Commercial sex work is illegal in Ghana, but it persists, and not even its illegality and the dangers of the trade would stop some from daring even more for extra cash. In Sperm Merchants, Stanley Nibleu investigates the dastardly practice of the sale of sperm of unsuspecting clients by commercial sex workers to ritualists. But why do they do what they do?
If somebody bring me Ghana, yes, I should come and my vagina and pay 50 million. And I pay the money, so I have to leave for now.
Condom, there no hotels, cleaners, no. Normally, if I never catch on some paint, so we age man or more to me into committing back on a Jana woman tip.
And what is the position of the law on such matters?
There is a fundamental principle in law that the Romans call it ex topi causa non orito axio.
Watch Sperm Merchants on The Assignment on Wednesday, March 8, 2023 at 9 p.m. only on TV3 and across all social media platforms at TV3 Ghana.
Sports segment is brought to you by
Consolidated Bank Ghana, CBG.
It's time for sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alote. We begin with round 20 of the Ghana Premier League, which also doubled as the President's Cup. A Konedu Yadam header ensured that Accra Hearts of Oak defeated Kumasi Asante Kotoko at the Accra Sports Stadium to claim 3 points and win the President's Cup.
Al Hassan onto the part of Befi. That's what to find York. Here's Linda Mtange. There was an initial foul on Befi. It was Mfege who brought him down, and Lamte came in with a late challenge.
Strong challenge it was from the Kotoko midfielder.
Mtange lines up to deliver, and here he sends one in. It's a header, and it has an opening goal. Konedu Yadom put the Phobians ahead. The delivery from Linda Mtange was brilliant, and the header from Konedu.
Konedu using his height to advantage. He also realized that Danlad Ibrahim was off his mark, so had to position his header quite very well. There you saw he had eyes on the target, picked his spot very well. The Phobians are up in glory.
Station of medals. Asante Kotoko, the losers will take their losers medals. There you see Linda Mtange proudly displaying the flag of the DRC. Now Victor Adi takes his turn. His Excellency Mukhtar Sissoko and President Akufo-Addo present the trophy to Eric Esso, and Esso has lifted it. Hearts of Oak as 6-time champions of the President's Cup.
While fans of Hearts of Oak celebrate their victory, fans of the Porcupine Warriors were left disappointed. Let's take a look at some fan reactions at the Accra Sports Stadium.
We kept reiterating this all this while, that the players didn't want to play for the coach and that they should change the coach. It's the same players you've been seeing all this while, but you saw different tenacity, you saw different aggression, you saw different commitment.
I think it's quite unfortunate we couldn't win this game. Looking at the game, we play well from second half to the second half. We play well, but you know this is Hearts of Oak. Playing Hearts of Oak in terms of cup game, Charlie. It's a different ball together. So we thank God the game ends successfully. They picked the 3 points, so that's all.
Proceeding now to the English Premier League, Manchester United suffered a horrendous 7-0 defeat to Liverpool at Anfield.
Rich. Back post is Bruno Fernandes. Manchester United's best chance so far.
I think if it's Marcus Rashford far post, then he probably does find the far corner. Bruno Fernandes is very close to it, but he doesn't get it quite right.
Robertson. It's a clever ball. Gakpo. A sight of goal. A wonderful finish. Cody Gakpo! Adulation at Anfield! It's looking for Anthony, but Henderson was very well positioned. This is Gakpo. Now Salah. Martinez, the defender. Salah turns and twists. Gakpo! Second goal of the game for Cody Gakpo. He has arrived as a Liverpool player. That we nodded down. Van Dijk couldn't get a touch. Here is Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez. It's hoping that we nodded down. Van Dijk couldn't get a touch. Here is Darwin Núñez. It is 5-0. 2 goals for Gakpo, 2 goals for Darwin Núñez. For each of them, it's the first time they've played against Manchester United. After a day like this, they will want to play United. Adulation at Anfield.
Moving on to the Eredivisie, Ghanaian midfielder Mohamed Kudus was on target for Ajax in their 1-0 victory against NEC Nijmegen. Kudus scored in the second half, making it his 10th league goal of the season for Ajax and leaving him just 2 goals shy of being top scorer in the Eredivisie. That will be all for sports this evening. I am Aniela Alute.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to announce changes to the national executive on Monday. A cabinet reshuffle has been widely expected since Ramaphosa was re-elected leader of the governing African National Congress ANC at a party leadership contest in December, paving the way for him to run for a second term in 2024. President Ramaphosa is expected to name a new deputy president after the presidency announced David Mabuza's resignation from the post on Wednesday. The new position of electricity minister is among the roles to be filed. China has set an official economic growth target of around 5% for 2023 as it seeks to revive the world's second-largest economy. This was announced at the opening of the annual gathering of the National People's Congress, NPC. Beijing also unveiled its annual military budget for 2023, which will increase 7.2% to roughly 1.55 trillion yuan in a draft budget report released Sunday morning. The spending increase marks the second year in a row that the annual hike in military spending has exceeded 7% and topped the last year's 7.1% growth. Nations have reached a historic agreement to protect the world's oceans following 10 years of negotiations. The High Seas Treaty places 30% of the seas into protected areas by 2030, aiming to safeguard and recuperate marine nature. The agreement was reached on Saturday evening after 38 hours of talks at UN headquarters in New York. The last international agreement on ocean protection was signed 40 years ago in 1982, the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to a close. Thank you very much for spending the last hour with us. My name is Martin Esiedu-Date.
And my name is Aisha Yakubu Hale. Date Rush is up next. Happy Independence Day in advance.
Hey, Kwaku Sharp.
Yeah, baby.
When I say why you bosano be?
Yeah, baby, I'm just saying me no be dingo mokakra.
Oh, yes, you be ni osroboa, ukotokro, enka shroda.
Jesus is Lord. Yeah. Me nyina say.
Inti.
Timba say ubetumi asro temia.